Time for true crime. Y'all, I am so nervous about this video. Like, y'all don't even know. Hi. Welcome back. And welcome if you're new. My name is Aneisha Byer and I started a YouTube channel. Not really sure what we're doing, but we're figuring it out as we go along. So I decided I would dip my pool into the true crime community because I love binging true crime. I watch Bailey Sarian, I watch Eleanor Neal. Then there's some other smaller people that I watch. I just thought, okay, let me try my hand at it. And I love how she like does her makeup like as she's talking. I just found that so like innovative. So I want to do it too. I've been inspired. So what are we going to talk about today for true crime? Dennis Nilsen. Quick disclaimer, viewer discretion is advised for this video. It is intended for mature audiences, so just be advised. Okay. Also, please ignore my nails. I tried and it didn't really work out. So jumping straight in, because today might be a long one. Alright, so this all started February 4th. Well, I'm starting it from here. February 4th, 1983. When Dennis Nilsen wrote a letter of complaint to estate agents about drainage in his flat, like in his building. Him along with some others was sending these complaints, right? They're like, okay, these people are complaining. So a Dino-Rod employee, Dino-Rod is like this plumbing agency, I think. All these sites I got my information from will be in the description down below. So if you want to do any more reading, you can feel free to go research stuff, because I may not get everything right or I might forget some stuff, so bear with me because this is my first time doing this. Also, I might not pronounce these names right, so please, I'm so sorry. Michael Catran, I'm gonna put the spelling on the screen, but Michael Catran, let's just call him Michael. He was this employee. He responded to these complaints on February 8th. He opened the side of the drain cover, like it was to the side of the house or whatever, and he opened it and he was like, okay, what's this? It was like a human flesh like substance, and he was like, it's kind of sus. So he reported it to his supervisor, Gary Wheeler. So his supervisor decided, okay, this is looking kind of weird. Let's postpone like an investigation until the next morning. When they come the next morning, it's gone. And they're like, okay, some sketch going on. Before they had came the next morning, when Michael had first saw the substance, he, along with Dennis Nilsen and another tenant of the building, they were like talking about it because I guess they overheard them talking about it. And when Michael was describing it or whatever, he was like, looks like somebody has been flushing their KFC down the drain. Who flushes their KFC? Why would you flush your Kentucky? Ain't nobody flushing Kentucky. Anyways, child. Next morning comes, there's nothing there. And so they're investigating and they realize the drain where the substances were found links back to Dennis Nilsen's flat. So they're like, they call the police. So the remains that were found were taken to like a pathologist, David Bowen. He was a pathologist, and he confirmed that the remains that were found were human. So how do we get to this point? Lovely Dennis Nilsen was born on the 23rd of November 1945 in, I don't know how to pronounce these places, child. Fraserburgh Aberdeenshire. Is that how you pronounce it? Oh my god, please don't make fun at me. That's where he was born. His parents were Elizabeth Knight and Olaf Mocksheen, but he changed, I think, his last name was changed to Nilsen. Hence, where his son, Dennis Nilsen. Dennis had 2 other siblings, an older brother who was Olav Nilsen Jr., and a younger sister named Sylvia. In my opinion, I don't think his childhood was all that like bad compared to like some of the other cases that I've heard. I don't think it was awful. I think he was a person who was dealing with a lot in himself, and that was things that he needed to figure out for himself. So the first run-in that he kind of had with death was his grandfather. He really loved his grandfather. His grandfather would always take him like fishing. Yeah, he was never really close with any of his other family members, and with his mother being like conservative and stuff, she kind of like forced him to like view the body at the funeral. Okay, child, there's a fly. Anyways, she forced him to view the body at the funeral, which is kind of odd. Like, if he doesn't want to view the body, like, damn, relax. He later stated that he looked so peaceful. Getting to the part, remember I just said he had a lot to do with, like, within himself? Yeah. He was gay. Well, he thought he was gay or bi, because in his early years, he actually fondled his brother and also his sister, which I found was like kind of weird. Like, okay, but yeah, he fondled his brother, and so that's why he thought, oh, well then this must mean that I'm like gay. But he also fondled his sister, so then he thought, oh, well maybe I'm bi. But then he said he was attracted to boys that kind of looked like his sister. Okay. He was very like reserved, kind of shy. After his grandfather died, he actually pulled back more than he already was, because he was already kind of like withdrawn. But then after he died and he was like funerals, had the body and everything, he withdrew from everybody else. And also he was kind of jealous, like, of his sister and his brother because of the bond that they shared, and he didn't really share that bond with his mother. And oh, also his mother divorced his dad because she was like, babe, you're not treating me like a priority, because his father was like focused on work while she was like wanting to focus on family, and it just wasn't working out. So she was like, she met another guy, and she actually went on to have 4 more children. He's a little bit older now. He decides, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Join the army. So he has an army career that lasts 11 years. He was a cook and he was stationed in like various places. On one occasion, actually, he got stationed in a place that was like really dangerous. Mansoura, child, these pronunciations. It was really dangerous. Like, he literally got kidnapped by a taxi driver, and he could have died. This is where like he saw a lot of dead bodies. Back to his childhood. After he fondled his brother was like called him a hen, which that's a term used in Barbados as well, where I'm from. Like, it's kind of derogatory to call people that. It just kind of means like, oh, you was a girl. It's not nice. Yeah, when he was younger, he had these sexual fantasies, which kind of progressed when he was in the army and saw like these dead bodies. Well, he would pleasure himself, like imagine like limp people, like unconscious people. And in the army, after he saw the dead bodies, it just strictly went to like pleasuring himself to the image of like dead bodies and stuff. So it's just, it's not good, no bueno. His military career ended in 1972, and he was staying like with his family again. And they were watching a documentary about like gay rights, and so Nilsen is defending gay rights, and he got in like this heated argument with his brother because he was defending gay rights, and then his brother kind of basically outed him to his mother. He was like, oh, he's gay, this way he acting like this. And yeah, he never spoke to his brother after that, which I wouldn't either, because like, you have no right, sir. So 1973, he was a junior constable, and this was like around the time his father died, and his father left his 3 children, so that's Sylvia, Olaf Jr., and Nilsen Dennis. He left them each £1,000. And then 1974, he was a civil servant. And in 1975, he met a man called David Galichan. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, I just can't. I will just call him David. Okay, David Galichan. David. Things are going great. David and how he met David at this bar. David was actually being threatened by 2 other men. Oh, David was only 20 at the time, by the way. He was being threatened by these 2 other men, and I guess Dennis was like, yeah, we'll be your knight in shining armor or something. I don't know. But yeah, that was the situation, and the 2 really took a liking to each other, I guess. And they're like, you know what, like, we should move in together. And so they moved into a bigger house. Dennis had just got like $1,000. Well, that was 2 years ago, but still, he got £1,000. So, you know, I guess he could afford it. And he moved this guy in, and literally just met him. Anyways, move in together, and this was 195 Melrose Avenue. Dennis, like, you know, concocted a little deal with the landlord that, you know, me and David, we get access to like this back garden that you have. Yeah. And then the landlord was like, cool, I guess. So yeah, they're in this house, whatever, things are going great, but the relationship only lasted like 2 years. I guess things started to fizzle out, and David said that Dennis was like never violent with him or anything like that. It was just like verbal abuse on both ends, and that was kind of it. But yeah, they break up after 2 years. And so Dennis, for the next 18 months, is just kind of like going through the motions. He's going at these gay pubs, but anybody that he met, they weren't really interested in having a relationship with him. I just realized I lost one of my studs, and I don't know when, and I don't know where, but my pinky is bare. Oh shit, that rhymed. Okay. But nobody like really expressed an interest to like move in and like, you know, be a serious relationship. They were just flings. And I just remember that I did not put on foundation. Cool. Anyways, he kind of felt like, you know, like, damn, nobody don't want to live with me. He felt like unfit to live with, which is sad. And so he decided, yeah, nobody want to live with me. I'm gonna make them live with me. That's like the best way that I could describe it. I'm sorry. Also, in here it's so freaking hot, but since people complain about my fan in the background, I'll stay hot. I think I'm gonna do something to like match my ugly ass nails. But anyways, he decides I'm gonna make them live with me. So he's doing his regular routine, gay bars. He meets another guy, and this boy was actually underage. He was only 14, but Dennis thought he was 17, but he was a child, so I don't think I'm gonna say his name. But again, all the information that I'm using is gonna be in the description below, so if you're interested in reading more about it, feel free to go ahead. He met this boy trying to purchase alcohol, unsuccessfully, by the way. Like, he's a child. Nilsen is like, you could come back to like my place and we could do something, like we can get you drinks and whatever, we could chill, blah blah blah. And so this boy's like, cool, whatever. Well, I don't know if he said that, but anyways, He ends up at this man's house. They drink, they have a jolly old good time, and then he's passed out. Dennis actually wakes up before him in the next morning, and he sees the kid sleeping. He's like, damn, if I wake him up, he's gonna leave. Just like everybody else always left. No one wants to live with me. I'm gonna make him live with me forever. He takes a necktie, he puts it around his neck, and he strangles him. He strangles him into unconsciousness, and then he drowns him in a tub of water, which is so awful. I think at that moment, he like Dennis, well, he literally snapped and killed this poor boy. He then took this boy's body and put it under the floorboards, and his body stayed there for like the next 8 months until he dissected him and took out the organs and then like burned him in a bonfire. Yeah, shit is crazy, bruh. He burned the body on the 11th of August 1979. The second murder was a guy named Kenneth O'Kendon. So Kenneth was a visitor, actually. He was visiting his family. He was like a tourist, sightseeing, you know, all that good stuff. He runs into no other than good old Nilsen. Ugh, every time I do my eyes water. Right, Kenneth. He is sightseeing, he's with his family, blah, blah, blah. He runs into Dennis Nilsen, and all shit hits the freaking fan. Kenneth was like into music, and Dennis was like, you know, yeah, I can show you the sights, we can listen to music, blah, blah, blah. Kenneth was like, oh, cool. I guess he was thinking like, wow, people here are so nice. In my mind, is like, what else would you be thinking in that moment? You know what I mean? You're really thinking like, damn, this dude wants to murder me. Poor Kenneth, he gets basically the same treatment as the first victim. He was strangled with his own headphones because I guess he was listening to music, and then Nilsen just snapped, and I guess he strangled him with his own headphones. And then the next day he went out and he got a Polaroid camera and took pictures. You know what kind of pictures. I don't need to say. We're sick. So the next murder was another man. Well, he was also a boy. He was 16 years old. His name was Martyn Duffey. Duffey? Anyways, this was May 17th, 1980. And basically, he did the same thing. Martyn was a runaway. He was like on the run for like a couple of days. So he was tired, he was exhausted. And long story short, he comes across, you guessed who, and he offers him, you know, like a bed, some food, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, he's tired. And so he accepts. He gets the same treatment as the other two. He was strangled into unconsciousness. Then he was drowned. And then also something weird that he did was like this ritual kind of thing after he murdered somebody. He bathed the body, and then he would lie next to it. He also did this with the first kid, I forgot to mention. Like when he put the first dude in the floorboard, he would like take him back out and bathe him again, and no. So that's what he did. Strangled them, drowned them, put them in the floorboards, and then occasionally he would take them back out and act like if there were like people and talk to them. Very, very odd. So at this point, I don't know if he's got like a surge of something going on in him. He goes on to kill 5 more people, only one of which were actually identified. And he was I saw someone name that his name was William Sutherland, and then another site gave me that it was another name. It has the same last name, Sutherland, so I'm just gonna say Sutherland. But yeah, him. And he murdered him on the 20th of August. But the other 5 were identified. So that was the 20th of August. In September, he killed somebody. In October, he killed somebody. In November, he killed another person. And then either November, December, he killed another person. But then he would say that, oh, actually, no, this victim wasn't real, like, I fabricated it. So that's why some sites say that he murdered like 14 people. Some sites say he murdered 16 people, or 15 to 16. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just giving you the information I found on the internet. So no, at this point, his landlord is like, you know, I'm gonna do some renovations, and Dennis is like, bitch, what? But he doesn't want the landlord to like do these renovations, obviously, because he has bodies under the freaking floorboards. The landlord is like, yeah, you have to move because I want to do renovations to like the building or what's not and so forth. And Dennis is like, ugh, damn it. He removes the bodies from the floorboards, and at this point, all the space under there was like full, like there was no more space anyways. So he takes the last 5 bodies that I think he had, and he dissects them, takes the organs, and he does one last bonfire at this particular location. So he moves. Oh, also, the last person he killed at 195 Melrose Avenue was Malcolm Barlow. He was 23, and he was actually outside the house, sort of. So like, Dennis saw him, he was like, you know, like, what are you doing here, blah blah blah. And this is so sad because he had epilepsy and he didn't have his medication or whatever, so which is why he was kind of on the floor, not really being able to do for himself. And Dennis is like, oh, well, you have to go to the hospital, like you don't look right, blah blah blah. And he takes him to the hospital, and a while later, well, not the same day, like I can't remember when exactly, like the next day or like a week later, sometime later, he decides, well, this man, like, he saved my life, like I'm going to go back to him and thank him for his kindness. And basically he went back to thank him. He gets let inside and he murders him. And he was amongst the 5 extra bodies that he burned that day before he had to move locations. So at his new location now, Dennis didn't have access to a garden that he could bury ashes and hold bonfires, and you know, there was no floorboard situation that he could store bodies or whatever. And he actually went a little while before killing again, because he was saying like an addict type situation. So this other victim, this is March 1982. This man is 23 years old. His name is John Howlett. And so he says that this particular murder was a struggle. You know, I don't know if John was kind of strong, you know, he eating them yams or whatever, but he said that in the span of 10 minutes, he actually tried to kill him, and like, you know, his usual thing, strangle, drown, dismember, burn, you know, his usual spiel. And you know, this one didn't pan out. John had that strength, and he actually thought that John was gonna overpower him, but alas, unfortunately, he did not, and he ends up murdering John Howlett. Oh, and this dude was so strong that for like a week straight, he had like his fingerprints were in this dude's neck. Like, he just had handprints in his neck. That's how strong John was. That was the first victim that he had at this new apartment. Oh, that looks kind of cute. That's like kind of crazy. How do you even kill somebody? Like, you know what I mean? Ooh, bitch. Yes. Okay, sorry, back to the case. This is murder number 14. No, by the way. This is September in 1982, so that one was in March. I guess it kind of shook him up a little bit, child, because, you know, we're coming down to the end of the year now, and he decides, okay, murder again. And also, I guess it was in a new location, so he wasn't really sure about the whole thing. This victim was 27-year-old Graham Allen. Okay, so he was hailing a taxi, and again, he comes across Nilsen. He makes an offer like, yeah, I can drive you wherever, whatever. And this dude is like, okay, sure, I guess, you seem nice enough. They're at Nilsen's new place. Obviously, you know what happens next. He strangles the dude and he drowns him in the bathtub, dissects them. But because at this particular new location, you know, there's no more floorboards, there's no garden. So he dissects them like on the kitchen floor, and then he would store like organs and different things and then flush them down the toilet. That's smart. Child, this side does not look cute. I think that's all I'm gonna do for the eyes right now. It's giving very much Barney. His last murder was actually October 8th, 1982, a man named Stephen Sinclair. I particularly felt bad for this case because, well, you're gonna know in a sec. He was last seen by some acquaintances walking with Dennis Nilsen in the direction of a tube station. After taking some, you know, drugs, alcohol, he falls asleep in a chair, and Dennis Nilsen looks at him and he says, "Oh, Stephen, here I go again." He repeats his whole spiel. He strangles him with the necktie and the rope, and he notices that Stephen has like bandages on his arm, on his wrist, and so he removes these bandages and he realizes that they're like slits from where he had tried to unalive himself. So sad. So he does his ritual, he bathes the body, he bathes with it, blah blah blah. And also he would like sleep with them, not sexually. But, you know, pleasure himself to the dead bodies. Yeah, child. He was a mess. Oh my god, no. With this murder, he took like 3 mirrors and laid them like all around like the bed so that he could like see. I don't know what was the point, but he took 3 mirrors and laid them all around, and then he pleasured himself to the body. He laid next to it and looks at him and he's like, "Good night, Stephen." What the fuck? This house doesn't have any floorboards, like I mentioned. He dismembers him and he keeps like certain parts in like tea chests and cupboard before like flushing it down the drain. So, we're all caught up to speed. It's February 4th, 1983. Dennis's stupid ass writes a letter complaining about drainage blockage. You're killing people and flushing them. You don't think you're partly to blame for the blockage? Why would he call? Anyways, it's just so funny to me. Well, it's not funny, but you know what I mean. Here we are. David Bowen has confirmed that yes, those are human parts. And so, you know, police are called and they realize that where the drainage cover leads from, it is to Dennis Nilsen's flat. They're like, okay, he kind of sus. And they wait for him to get home from work. And also, he had gotten promoted to like chief executive officer in like 1979, and he's over here killing people and calling like, yeah, I'm sick. Sir, he desperately needed help and didn't get it. It's sad. But anyways, they're like, damn, this leads back to his apartment, so let's wait for him. So they wait for him, and obviously he gets home from work and he's like, okay, what's going on? They're like, you know, just let us inside and we'll give you more information later. He's like, okay, obviously reluctantly, but he lets them in anyways. When they're inside, he's like questioning them again, like, okay, so like, why are you interested in my apartment? I don't know why, but what comes to mind is that you guys remember that thing he was really kidding me. He was like, hey Brandon, what you got on? Don't worry about it, sweetheart. So why you're on my fat, don't worry about it, sweetheart. Those were coming in my mind. Anyways, y'all inside, so like, what's the deal? The investigator, J. Peter, he was there with two of his other colleagues. They were the ones who were waiting on him, and they said that when they entered, it actually smelled like rotting flesh. So they're like, yeah, you know, the remains we found were human. And he's like, what? Oh my god. I quote, good grief, that's awful. Bitch. The investigator's like, don't mess about, where's the rest of the body? And I don't know in this moment if he realized that, okay, the jig is up, or I'm caught, or, you know, like, it is what it is. But he basically tells them everything, and he says that he has body in the cupboard, tea chest, blah blah blah, everywhere he would hide them. So yeah, he was asked if there's like any more body parts should be found, and he says, it's a long story, it goes back a long time, I will tell you everything you want to know, but not here at the station. So ciao, they go down to the station, the police station, and then they ask him, okay, so do the remains belong to one body or like two bodies? He was like, yeah, you know, 15 or 16 since 1978. I imagine they were shut, like, huh? Excuse, say what? Basically, he kind of admits everything, to be honest. Bowen, you know, the pathologist, he confirms that, child, there is nothing on this lip thing. He confirms that the remains that were found belong to Stephen Sinclair. Maybe this shit empty. And also, something that I forgot to mention. I'm sorry for like going back and forth, but it's just disturbing to me because I forgot to mention that, you know, Stephen, he tried to unalive himself and he had bandages around his wrist. Like after he killed him, he took the same bandages off and stored like bits of him wrapped in the bandages and then put it in, you know, whatever else he did. That's sick, bruh. Back to the pathologist, who confirmed that the remains were Stephen Sinclair's, and then he was charged with murder. There's a formal questioning for 30 hours. It's basically asked about like motive, and he's like, you know, there's really no motive, which I think is a bold-faced lie. Dude was just lonely, and like I said in the beginning, he had some stuff to work through about himself and being gay. I don't know if he had abandonment issues, but yeah, he was a lonely dude. That was the motive. Like, he didn't want to be alone. I put on some mascara. Where was I in this case? He is charged with murder. Newspapers were contacted, child, so you know, it's a scandal. He is charged with 5 counts of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. He had a representative, Ronald Moss, who he kept dismissing as like, you know, like, I could represent myself, sir, please. So he would like dismiss him and then like bring him back and then like dismiss him. After like 5 weeks, he dismissed him and he got a new representative, Ralph Hames. Again, please feel free to look up all of these things. All this is just information I have took from the internet and put into like this video. This is not oxygen. So Ralph Hames, this other attorney, well, they didn't call it attorney, they called it I can't remember the name that they called them, but basically kind of like a lawyer, like defense lawyer. But yeah, he's telling him plead not guilty on grounds of diminished responsibility, because they're saying he has this mental illness, so therefore he's not like responsible. The trial is the 24th of October 1983. There's witnesses. And remember when I said that he literally attempted to murder like 7 other people? One of those people was a witness, Carl Stotter. He ends up at his house, apartment, flat, whatever you want to call it, and he strangles him. He wasn't dead, he was unconscious, but when it got to the part where he tried to drown him, he remembered coming in and out of consciousness, and then all of a sudden he was like submerged into water, and he was freaking out, like begging, like, please, like, don't kill me, blah blah blah, as one would. And he let him live. And when he came to like 2 days later, he was like, Dennis told him, he was like, well, yeah, you know, you got caught up in this like sleeping bag, and like it couldn't get unzipped, and I was trying to like resuscitate you, and blah blah blah, and this and that. And basically, like, his memory is kind of foggy. Carl, his memory is kind of foggy, like he can't really remember like everything that happened, so he had to like kind of just take his word for it. But obviously, like, if somebody's trying to kill you, you would know, because it's like you were strangled and then all of a sudden you're submerged in water. Please. He testified along with another witness, and also psychiatrist testified in favor of the defense. One psychiatrist, James McKeith, he basically stated that, yeah, it's diminished responsibility because he had a lack of like emotional development, which isn't wrong. He said he was only capable of feeling anger. He didn't view human beings as like people, like they were like props that he used to fulfill his deranged fantasies. The other psychiatrist, Patrick Galloway, he was also in favor of the defense. Even though he said, yeah, Dennis was aware of everything that he did. Like, he was aware of his actions, but he wasn't fully capable of understanding the weight of them, and he diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder. Paul Baldwin, he was one of the people that interviewed him, you know, in the formal questioning. He was like, no, this dude is manipulative. He knows good and well what he did, blah, blah, blah. Lock his ass up. Now it's time for the verdict. The jury had reached a majority verdict of 6 counts of murder, and he was sentenced to a life sentence with a minimum of 25 years in prison. So he began his sentence at Her Majesty's Prison, Wormwood Scrubs. Is that Scrubs? I'm gonna put it on the screen. He had a little rub. He was slashed in his face like by another prisoner, and he had to get like 89 stitches. He got transferred to like a different prison, like, you know, more secure, and then another time he was in like solitary confinement. It's just a lot transferring around. Sometime along the way, that 25 years minimum got changed to like, you ain't never getting out, child. So it got changed to like full life. There's no chance of getting out, no parole, and none of that. And then on May 12, 2018, Mr. Nilsen kicked the old bucket. He passed away. The cause of death was pulmonary embolism. Yeah, if you want to read more about that, Google. But yeah, that's the case. It was a really interesting read. Honestly, I have no idea how people be just like killing people like that. Like, that is so odd to me. Like, how you kill somebody and it not be in self-defense. And then also, he said that he would have like the sudden urge to like kill them. Like, he wouldn't plan to. And it's like, well, dude, after like the first 2 murders and you realize, damn, every time I bring a guy back here, I kill him. You keep bringing people back though to your house. What do you think is gonna happen? Anyways, do you think he had like a mental illness, or he was just like faking it? My thing is that he was flushing these people down the freaking drains, bruh, and then wrote a letter to complain. What did you think was gonna happen? That part still baffles me. I think that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you liked it and enjoyed the true crime. If you want to see more of these types of videos, you can leave a comment down below. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're new here. You can click my face to subscribe. Click the square right here to watch another video of mine. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.